This is one of those videos that I never wanted to make, and I very nearly didn't. But once again, Germany is in the news for all the wrong reasons, and so we need to talk about it. I don't want to, but I just can't ignore it. This is about the shooting in the central German city of Hanau, in which a total of 11 people died, including the suspect. It happened on the evening of Wednesday, the 19th of February, and was clearly both a terrorist attack and a racist one. Late that evening, a gunman entered 2 shisha bars in the same street, just 3 blocks from the marketplace, and shot dead 9 people, all of them from immigrant families. A little later, shots were fired at a cafe and a car in the neighbourhood of Kesselstadt. The cafe is described in most reports as a kiosk, but basically that's just what it calls itself. Then, the body of a man was found in his apartment, together with that of his mother. This man is believed to be the one who carried out the attacks and has been named as Tobias R. It seems that he went back home, killed his mother, and then turned the gun on himself. There is still a lot that we don't know, but here are some facts. First, Tobias R. was a conspiracy theorist. He believed that he, along with thousands of other Germans, was being watched by a secret organization. He also believed that his mind was being read and even influenced. He also developed racist views, believing that the behavior of certain races was problematic, and also listing several countries whose populations he felt should be destroyed. Despite this, he had a clean criminal record and didn't appear to belong to any extremist organizations. And so he hadn't done anything that got the attention of the authorities. He'd even managed to get a permit to own, although not carry, a gun. But this is where the story takes a strange turn. The weekend before the shooting, German police had conducted raids on an extremist right-wing organization that had been planning an attack. One of those people who was arrested was the clerk who had issued Tobias R.'s gun permit. Unlike Tobias R., this individual, Torsten W., very obviously did have views which were incompatible with his position. In his spare time, he liked to dress up as a Germanic warrior, and at work he was known for his highly questionable views. His social media feeds are apparently full of swastikas. So questions are now being asked. Is there evidence that he helped extremists get gun permits? And was he not carefully screened before being put in charge of gun permits? It's certainly noticeable that while Tobias R. lived in Hanau in Hesse, his gun permit was issued by Torsten W. in Hamm in North Rhine-Westphalia. On the question of whether the gunman was a terrorist, a lone wolf, or a man with psychiatric problems, the answer appears to be all of the above. Now, I don't know the details of the investigation, but the picture that I'm getting is of a man with an undiagnosed and therefore untreated psychological condition whose mind was fertile ground for the xenophobic trash that circulates the web. We've seen quite a few right-wing terrorist attacks in Germany recently, and this is deeply worrying. So, what does this mean for us now? I can't say. I can't predict the future and have never met anyone who can. I think that the Hanau shooting was the act of one man, perhaps triggered by the raids that I talked about earlier. But it certainly didn't happen in a vacuum. Lessons need to be learned, and I do think that we need to get a grip on this before it becomes an even bigger problem. Exactly how we do that is the subject of fierce argument, and I don't have the answer. But I would like to sound a note of cautious optimism. When I was growing up in the 70s and 80s, political violence in Europe was claiming more lives than it is currently. In Britain, we had the bombing campaigns of Irish terrorists. In Germany, it was radical left-wing groups like the Red Army faction. We're still here. I'm still here. I made it through the 70s and 80s. So I think we can work something out, but it might take time. I can't pretend that there won't be more bloodshed, but if we refuse to be intimidated, we can get through this.